For episode 8, we have B-Boy Jerm from Retro Flow and BboyNetwork. Welcome, Jerm, and thank you for doing this.
Thanks again, Buggy. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to get on and talk for a little bit.
Everybody knows that you are a breaker and also a photographer. So our subject for today will be a mix between the two. Feel free to be yourself and answer however you feel. Um, so you good to start?
I am good to start. Yep.
Cool. So, what came first? Was it the passion for breaking or the passion for photography?
All right. Yeah. So, for me, I think dance kind of came first. Before I was breaking, I did choreo and like freestyle hip hop dance in high school. I didn't really know what breaking was back then, and there wasn't really many people around my high school that were like dancing like that. There were some people that knew how to like a stick step, yeah, stick step and like Nike and whatnot, but like nothing too crazy. And then um, I got to, and then before I graduated high school, I got a camera as a graduation present. And then I went to the Philippines, and then I found out that my whole family were basically photographers. They all were professional photographers. My brothers were all pretty deep in the game. I had cousins that were killing it themselves. Um, and I learned like the basics from them. And then when I got to college, I was like, all right, well, I got this camera. Don't know what to do with it. But so I started taking pictures of people. So I guess like pictures came first. And then I was just sitting on a bus at Rutgers my freshman year. I think it was October or end of September, something like that. And there were just a couple of dudes like sitting next to me, and they were talking about barrel mills, and like me being somewhat versed in what moves are. I was like, oh, that sounds like breaking. And I asked them about it, and they were like, yeah, I go to this club called Are You Breaks, and we meet here on Fridays and on Tuesdays, and yeah, feel free to come out. And I'm like, all right, sure. And then I came out to my first practice, and then the rest is history. I think a few months later, I did bring my camera over. No, it wasn't until actually, no, it wasn't until the beginning of my sophomore year that I brought my camera to a breaking event, and I decided to start shooting. And then I took my first pictures at a jam, and I was like, "Ooh, these are kind of cool. I want to keep doing it." And then I kept doing it, and one thing led to another, kind of just like snowballed into a crazy journey of meeting people all over the place. And now here I am.
Awesome, man. So kind of runs in the family.
Yeah, it definitely runs in the family. I think the one complaint that they had when I was growing up was that I didn't pick up a Nikon. In terms of camera brands, they were all Nikon shooters, and my first camera was a Canon, and my camera was a Canon for a little while. Not to go into too many technical stuff, but like, it was a funny brand contention from them. But other than that, yeah, it was like within the blood to be an artist.
Dope. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is it now? How does it feel now to be a photographer in the breaking scene? You learn from your family, you started breaking in school, and now you are traveling across the country and taking photos of a lot of dope artists. What is it like?
I think the best way to think about it is at its peak, like doing photography and breaking was like it just felt so fresh every time I would go to a different event and like take pictures of people and try to get like their moves and get or different frames of different moves or different frames of the same move. And it was dope just like seeing all the different ways I could frame people and like use different lighting and different environmental challenges to to all of the different advantages that I could have. And it's just, to me, it's a challenge because not every breaking event is going to be a well lit big stage production. It's could very well be in a not well lit bar, but everybody wants to keep the lights off for ambiance, I might say, for like battle. I guess I don't know why. I just wish everything was more well lit, but I think if you go into breaking photography with the expectation that you're going to make money from it, it's not the right mindset to go into. And I think that's just a mindset that is kind of shared uh, with breaking. Period. You can't go into it and think, all right, this is going to be my money maker. You have to have like a plan. You have to aim to be the best in the business. And if you weren't even like the best in the business, like you have to like keep community in mind, right? You have to make sure that you're taking care of the people in your community the best way that you can when you can. And it's like you have to start somewhere and you have to grind so to get to the places that you want to be. Like for me, like I had to um, go to events and shoot everything. I had to put my name out there, make sure people knew what light bulb watermark that was, because that was my watermark, and I wanted people to be like, all right, well, I want to have a photo from this guy now. And once that started really picking up, like it felt I felt good, and I think, but now I think ever since the Olympics, there was just a big hit to budgets overall, and um, the expectations changed throughout all of the scene, and I think it's okay um, that we're kind of taking a step back and figuring ourselves out as a scene collectively. I wish that media was treated better in the scene. I think that there's a expectation that like I think it's the wrong precedent actually that you go somewhere and be like, all right, well, I'm not gonna pay my media head because somebody's gonna be here anyway with a camera. And I think that's just the incorrect way to go about it, because now you set a precedent that like, oh, you can just take advantage of the people that give you the exposure that you can get from photo and video, and um like I think we're all still trying to figure that out. Even, I mean, I know we've been around for hip hop's been around for 50 years, and we've been, and it's still like a pretty young culture at that. So we're still figuring it out, and I think we're getting better with at least taking care of the people that we hire to do events and to do the media. And it's not just like taking it sitting down with a camera and like taking a picture at the right time or taking a video at the right angle. Like there's also a lot of you know making sure the colors are right after the fact, making sure that the right eyes are seeing it, and making sure that the right number of people are seeing it, because that's just a whole lot of it's a lot. And now people are understanding like, oh, this is a lot more than like we realize it is. But
Yeah,
I think we're
it's
trending in the right
definitely a
direction.
lot of work. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. How do you think this should happen? What do you think the organizers should do, and what do you think the approach towards the breaking media should be to show more respect and support for them?
I think organizers should at least I think a good way to I think a good place to start is for organizers to at least band together in a way to collaborate with each other and be like, all right, what are the numbers that are working well with us, and how can we, and what more can we do? And then we can say, well, we could have a budget set aside for media, and we can have a budget set aside that like kind of reflects what kind of event that we're hosting. And um, we can see that this event worked this way and this event didn't work, but it still looks good this way. um, then come up with a number from there, and then like um, reach out to different parts of the community to see like, well, how can we raise money to make this happen? How can we reach a goal to make this happen? Whether that be
Okay.
through grants, through donations, through setting aside your own money or saving some money like every month. It's like organizing an event is a lot of work as is, and you just have to put in the legwork to get there before you can be, because you can't just like off name alone be like, all right, well, I'm gonna throw a jam and everybody's gonna show up. Like if you miss a month of planning and like and you fall behind, then it's not gonna work. You're gonna lose out on money and find and like other things that you can that can possibly help you out in the future. And you just have to stay on top of it. And I think organizers should realize that media is very, very important to the success of their events, because without like the proof that their events ran a certain way, or without us like editing our videos or recaps or pictures to make crowds look bigger than they are, or like make like show the energy throughout like the high points and whatnot, and see be like, okay, well, they branded well, like in these angles, and maybe we can trust them to do that for us, and maybe we can give them more money to work with us. Like you just have to think about like how other people like corporation wise, like, and other brands will want to represent themselves, and they'll reward you accordingly, you know.
Mhm. So instead of expecting people to show up with a camera and then see everything uploaded online, you can just make a budget and hire them for their work because there is a lot of work. Cool, cool, dope. Um, so regarding the people that you met in the scene, what are some lessons you've learned about the people or the scene through your camera?
oh wow, I think the number one thing is that um breakers are very they don't always all get professional pictures. So there's a lot. So from a photographer standpoint, they don't have not every breaker has like a has like their photo freeze, or but it also helps them in a way when you're like, okay, well, if you don't have freezes, like me being like a breaker, I can show them like, okay, I can do this. Can you try to do it like that? And it's like, oh, it's easy. And then they're like, oh, this looks good in camera. So that was one thing that I learned when I was when I was like coming up as a photographer in the scene. I think uh that people are stuck in a I think this is more of an organizer's thing that kind of goes back to what I said before, but like people are kind of stuck with how they charge, or they set aside budgets for photographers and videographers for events.
Mhm.
um we spoil them, honestly, like photographers and videographers, like Josh, bro, you like, this is directly to you. You spoil too many people, and that's really good, like on a community standpoint, but also at the same time, like if we want to have like a good like system in the scene where everybody gets to eat, you know, we have to we have to like kind of like put our foots down and be able to um not let people take advantage of us. And I think there's a lot of organizers out there that are that will jump at the opportunity to take advantage of somebody without, and manipulate people without, like, you know, them realizing that, like, you know, exposure isn't just going to pay the bills, you know, like you have to do more than just, like, you know, give an opportunity to somebody trying to come up. You have to be like, all right, well, let's make this like a partnership. Like there's some organizers that are like, yeah, let's like, I'll give you this rate and then we'll continue working, and then maybe that can go higher. You know, there's some people that are like that are really good like that. um but it, and I think the next thing about that is that the scene is still growing, so like people are still trying to figure themselves out still. And you have to be flexible to the fact that, like, these aren't all, not everybody is like a we don't have like 50 victors like running the scene, or like we don't like, and cross one and like is like, although he's like running the pro breaking tour and freestyle session, isn't like an endless font of money that people think that he might be. Like a lot of, you just have to think that all of these people, that all of us are still like, we're all still trying to grind out here and like try to make a name for ourselves. And everybody wants to make their name for themselves in the scene some way, or some way, shape, or form. And like, you know, we have to look out for each other, and the more that we look out for each other, the better. And I think the last thing that I'll say about like a lesson that I've learned about people in the scene is that a lot of us do in fact look out for each other. And it's really nice to know that people are more in your corner than you think. And even if you aren't in a certain area for a long time, or you only show up for a little bit, like, or you are a visitor somewhere, that people are still willing to like look after you, and like there's a lot of good people still in the scene, you know.
Regarding to you what you were saying that there needs to be a budget for um, the media team. How long has B-Boy Network provided media for the scene at no cost?
I wish I could answer that. I don't know how long that's been the case. But I mean, Josh has been around for like 15 or so, 15 plus years now, right? And I think I don't want to like speak for him, but he had to come up too in a way. So like I'm sure there were times where like he would bring his camera, and like I guess the payment for him would be his entry fee and being able to sit front and center with the camera, you know. And I guess there's in in a sense like payment in like, you know, being able to like live the culture, but it's definitely been for a little while too. And
Mhm.
this also is a thing for like for dancers as well, not just like Josh being like a B-boy network guy,
Oh
but
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
dancers take gigs all the time for less than what they really than less than what they deserve on the pretense of like exposure and whatnot. And like you might get it, but like it's not like, but they're like, oh, they people are going to be like, oh well, this person took less than the other dancer, maybe we can pay everybody else that same thing, and then that's a precedent, and then like now what?
Mhm. You're absolutely right.
I'm not saying it's bad that you're taking a free gig or like giving somebody the opportunity either, but like so but like be fair to us. We're not just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm,
There's this balance between helping the community and like kind of doing what's right from a moral standpoint,
yeah.
and organizers or I don't know, people don't want to pay artists for what they actually deserve. So yeah, you're definitely right about that. And there are a lot of things in the blur about
Mhm.
that subject. Obviously, being a breaker makes it, let's say, easier to understand when you catch a photo. Both breaking and photography require timing and awareness. How did you train your eyes so that you can capture that perfect moment?
So there's a couple of answers for me for this one. So number one, I am a serial e-boy, or at least I was when I was coming up. So I would be watching footage all the time of all the dancers everywhere. And then right before events, if I didn't know who was coming, I would look at the sign up sheets and like the Facebook posts that had like all the duos that were entering, or like just people that were entering, and I would look up YouTube footage of them or and whatnot, and just like study and watch them like on repeat. And I would be like, okay, when they like I see when this person does this setup, I know they're gonna do this freeze or this or look this way, and that's when to snap. So that's like the first step of me knowing when how to knowing for other people. And then also just like I've been breaking also, so like I know what certain setups look like, and the other thing that actually helps me the most is music. So I listen like because I come from a musical background, and um, I I understand like schemes very well, and like patterns very well within music, and when it comes to breaking music, you can all we all know the pattern. Like what, like two eight counts, and the second eight count at the end of it, there's a beat hit, right? Usually that's the formula. It's not the same everywhere, but it's a very similar formula that is that people can use to get to like a certain point in the music. And for me, like I listen to the music, and when I hear a moment start to happen, I see somebody start to like, you know, set up for something, that's when I know to prime myself for like a for a shot, because that's when I know like, okay, they're gonna try to hit a freeze at this beat. That's a that's what I try to
Mhm.
do, and I try to keep my snaps at the like to the beat of like what's happening. Like I try not to shoot too much, but I still do it a lot. But like I've been getting better at shooting and um just anticipating with music when certain moves are happening. And then the last thing is I try to anticipate when a dancer is moving and then they're facing me, and I try to prioritize when they're facing me because I know that's going to be the better looking picture to me.
Dope. That's awesome. What makes breaking photography different from other forms of photography, in your opinion?
um I think going back to the music part, like I think there's just moments that like breaking creates that other dances can't quite create. And also I think you can tie in sports photography as well with this, where you can kind of tell when the flow of a game is happening a sort of way, but like you oftentimes have like are much more limited in what kind of shots you're going to take, or you have to kind of like hold the shutter down and just let it like snap like, and hope for the
Hmm.
best from one of those shots. With breaking, not only is there opportunity to like get in tune with music and like use your knowledge as a breaker, if you are a breaker, or a dancer that like that's with a camera and sitting down, you can be like, okay, well, like I can take my experience and shoot it this way. And we can really like there's just so many different shapes that we make that not any two pictures are going to look the same. And I think that's pretty neat with breaking. um and outside of like events and whatnot, where we're like, well, like lighting is one thing in an event where like we have to be used to like like really bad lighting, but also environmentally, like we can do breaking anywhere, right? Like we like people like ballet dancers, they have studios. We never had A lot of us didn't have studios. We would practice in college hallways. Some people practice on the streets, in the parks, at the gym, like and with photography, like you can just tell a breaker to do a freeze in front of anywhere, and they'll do it, and you can kind of mold your environment that way, and it'll
Hmm.
still look really good at that without needing to really extensively scout, even though you should be scouting for locations for like better stuff. Like I take pride in knowing that I can take a good picture given any like location, because the focus is on the move or the freeze or that moment, instead of just like gone of everything.
Cool. Are you working a 9 to 5 job?
I do work a 9 to 5 job, yes.
Okay. How do you mix a 9 to 5 job with these two passions of yours, breaking and photography?
Well, so without going too much into what I do, I work at an outdoor advertising agency as a design assistant, and it's kind of like a very similar. Everything that I do at work, I can kind of tie in with stuff that I do outside of work with regards to creative work, and it keeps my creative juices flowing. And like
Hmm.
sometimes I get the opportunity to just like sit down at work and be like, well, since I have a break in the action, maybe I can look into like the projects that I'm working on like elsewhere, and until like I get another task. And
Cool.
yeah, I mean it's kind of cool that like I have an environment where I'm allowed to at least like express myself creatively, and then that will be for work, and then I can still do that like elsewhere. And you know it's an easy separation, and I don't have to like really like go like jump through hoops to do it.
Hmm. Do you think it's necessary for the majority of dancers and artists within the scene to have a 9 to 5 job? I know that some people don't need it, but what about the rest?
Um, I think if I was doing photography full time, I'd be forced to take jobs that I don't want to take, and that I think would like force me to burn myself out on things that I don't want to burn myself out on. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
look at a camera and think of it as a burden. Like with the job that I have, like I can conceivably pick up my camera at a given weekend and then put it down and not look at it for a couple weeks at a time, and then like feel fresh about like with new ideas, and um just not um tiring myself through like doing like another wedding, another corporate event, and then I just like and then it becomes like, oh well, now I have to deal with this person, deal with that person,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
It's I think it's nice to have to make your passion your job, but at the same time I think it's necessary to at least separate yourself, like your job from your loves, you know, because like sometimes like you're going to be stuck doing things that you don't want to be doing. You're going to be forced to like I think a good example is like social media, like where people do social media full time. Sometimes they're like recycling old content and then they're doing like extra posts or they're staggering posts, and and then becomes like, well, now I have to really like overthink on things that I want to do. Is like, okay, now everything has to be content. Now it's like, oh, I'm doing too much, and then for what? Like you're gonna hate doing something that you once loved now, and you're
it
gonna
takes away the pleasure.
not only that, it's like longevity. You're taking away longevity, in my opinion. Like I with the fact that I separated my 9 to 5 with breaking in photography, I think I can conceivably be here in the scene for a lot longer than other people can can say that they've done like breaking in photography for.
Cool. So you and Dom started posting videos honoring dancers across the US, Filipino dancers. Can you tell us how that started and anything else you want to
Yeah.
fill us in?
Um, I think like I talk with Don all the time, and like this like I guess like creative partnership goes back to before COVID, and Don and I would make Pokemon posts, and like it would just be like a collaborative effort between the two of us, and and like we just constantly bounce ideas off of each other, and I've always wanted to do something where we highlight at least like a group or a bunch of dancers, like, and it's like equally my ideas and his ideas and like what we can do from there. And um this month I don't know what I really don't know. I just kind of just said like, you know what, like I haven't done this before. I want to challenge myself. And I wanted to see if I can highlight 31 different dancers from, or at least take 31 posts to highlight dancers from around the country, right?
Mhm.
And Don was very on board with the idea, and then I started like naming names, and he was like, just give me a picture, give me a um and give me their crew and name, and I'll get something over to you to use for your videos. So like what people don't see me do is I have to, if I haven't taken pictures of these people, I have to really like dig into like their social media, to be like crazy ex girlfriend social media, FBI social media hunting for some of these pictures, you know, and uh, and you find out a lot of, and you see a lot of footage and a lot of pictures that you don't know exist, and it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. You learn a little bit more about these people in doing so, and yeah, and I think we just wanted to really like give some flowers out because and I think another thing that another inspiration that came to mind for when I was doing this is that I came up in a generation where a lot of how we learned about dancers was through trailers of these dancers. You would go on YouTube and you'd like look up, I don't know, B-Boy Luigi trailer, and it would be like a highlight reel of of his best moves. You'd look, they came up through trailers, and we don't really do that anymore, and I think it would be cool, and I thought it would be cool because like we have like such short attention spans to highlight dancers in like a minute
Mhm.
30 and under, and I think I've done a good job at least like going through and finding people, not just like OGs, but also people that are killing it now or coming up, and showcasing like, hey, these are people that look like me, and that I'm sure that's something that's relatable to a lot of other people, you know.
Yep, yep. But what can you tell us about the historical part and the month of October? Why October?
So October is important because on October 18th specifically, in 1587, that was the first recorded instance of Filipinos coming to America, landing on shore in what is now California. And so that is why October specifically um, is the Filipino American History Month, because that's when the first Filipinos came to America.
Dope. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. All right. So you have been working with various artists. Is there anyone you like working more with as a solo or group?
Oh gosh. All right, solo
Stick
or
to a few
group?
names.
Okay. I think my favorite shoot so far, or at least my favorite, I think five favorite people that I'll say five names. Um,
Mhm.
Jeffro, um, Ronnie, uh, the Lore Twins from Underground Flow, uh, what else? Nebs, and Logistics. Those are, in no particular order, those are my five favorite to work
Cool.
with.
Do you have a favorite shot?
Yeah, I do have a favorite shot. It's actually it's not of any of them, is the crazy thing. My favorite shot was a shot that I took of this French b-boy. His name is Noah. He represents um vagabonds, and I him and I connected one winter, and we went to New York, and we were looking for neon to shoot around, and we found this little street in Chinatown, and he does an air chair on like this like sewer hole thing, like the sewer cover, the manhole cover, and there's people behind him like watching him, looking in awe, and it's like in my opinion, it's like a perfect breaking like street photography like thing. Like that's for lack of a better term, it kind of tells a story. It kind of like is composed like really well, and you get to see a little bit of everything there.
We already talked about some of the challenges you faced as a photographer in the breaking scene. Is there anything else you would like to add on top of lack of finances for the media? Um, I don't know, having to travel, the dichotomy between a 9 to 5 job and your passions. Is there anything you would like to add as a challenge?
Yeah, I think there are two challenges that I could really think of. Number one is lighting. This is a call for help for as a photographer to a lot of the organizers in America. I love the venues that you choose. Please put lighting, or like get a good like sense of overhead lighting, because I can't see shit. Pardon my French. Like it's really hard to see a lot of these events, and it'll make my job easier. It'll make your videographers' jobs easier when we can see everything. When everything is well lit. That way, like there's not any unnecessary blur. There's like any like sort of like motion can be like frozen with proper lighting. Um, that's like, yeah, I think I will say that events have been getting a lot better lately, but there's
Mhm.
still trouble getting finding out where that good sense of lighting is, especially for night events, to like really like show off like how cool of an event it is. We can all tell it's a cool event. It's just we can't see anything, you know.
Mhm.
It helps everybody out there. So that's like challenge number one, and I think challenge number two is um, I think we've been another thing that I think that we've been getting better with, but I think there's still a little bit of a challenge with is like competition, and I think photographers often feel like they're competing with each other, and really what what I like to do as a photographer personally is to make sure that anybody else that's shooting there knows that I'm easy to work with, and that I'm willing to help them get the angles that they want, right? And I think it's an old like um state of mind where people have to be at the right angle, at the right spot, and they're gonna sit and they're gonna park there, and then they're gonna upload everything first. And if I get and I hope I get more views and more reposts and everything so I can get the next gig. And while that might be the case where like you need to be first or you need to be consistent or like posting all the time, um, you should be like I think photographers would be better if they work together better, like if you're able to collaborate with other people that are there with sort of the same goal as you. There won't be as much there's not going to be clashing. It'll be better for people to find jobs for each other, like where it's like, well, I can't make it this day, but I know this person because I connected with him at an event before, and I know he can do a good job, so I'm gonna refer him. And like I think that like the more that we build a ecosystem to help support each other, the quicker we are to finding success in like any communities, like specifically like in the breaking community.
Cool. So being in the breaking scene and going to so many events requires money, requires time, effort. How did you stay grounded with all the traveling and creating?
Um, wow. I think making sure I find time for myself has been the most important thing, with all the traveling and creating that I've done over the past several years. And even like within the travels that I do, as long as I find like some time to at least like not like be shooting or like to not force myself into like a mindset of like, all right, well, I need to be taking these shots at this time. Like, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna have nothing to work with. And um, I I've like in the past like couple of years, I want to say that like I've found a way to at least you know, find time for myself either to meditate or just to like, um give myself time to like catch my own breath or to rest a little bit and to let my
Mhm.
body catch up to me. And in doing so, I've been able to at least like feel like 100% when I am at these events, taking the jobs that I am taking and shooting there, because like now I'm able to at least like, you know, feel like I'm myself and I'm not like trying to like slam 3 Red Bulls trying to stay awake because like I'm grinding too much. Um
Mhm.
I think, but like as long as I think a big thing that really contributed to burnout before is the fact that breaking really through too many events has been throwing too many events in the past several years. And I think before we'd never really had that issue. I think breaking before it would be like every few months there'd be like a big event and everybody would go to that event. And that's when like everybody was like, here, you know what, like we have a goal to reach. And like that's probably what it was for me, because like, I took the time in between events instead of like really slamming events down and like taking stuff that I didn't really think were my best shots or my best quality, and like focusing my energy on things that I could like, where I know I could be like, all right, well, um this is my event. I'm not going to be able to go to another event for a little while. Let's make it 100% and let's treat everybody around like, um, you know, and it shows. I think I feel like it shows in the work that I put out, that like,
Yeah.
I take a little bit extra care for myself, and now everybody else can be taken care of too.
Hmm. Talking about events, do you have a favorite hip hop event to shoot?
Oh man. Um, I think like the events that have good lighting are like pushed to the top in terms of like, I think the higher production events, like in terms of shooting them, like, Freestyle Session and Red
Mhm.
Bull BC ones are fun to shoot because, they do a good job with production value.
Mhm.
However, like my favorite event that I've been to in the past several years is Film Cipher, because it felt like a real hip hop event, right? And while I
Okay.
don't feel like I did the best in terms of like how I shot that, I know that you know, um, that like we're in good hands, that I can make myself better for the next time something like that is happening again. Um, I yeah, freestyle session and Red Bull are like up, like the high production events are pretty fun to shoot. I still want to like go to. I think that will be a question later, but like there are events I want to go to and try my hand at eventually.
Dope. What was the most challenging shot ever? Ever.
The most challenging shots are the ones where you have two dancers in motion or two or more dancers in motion. And my first the first time I ever tried doing like a group shot where it was like I think shout out to Jay Sirius and like his Brooklyn Breaking Academy, but it was like 15 of these kids, dude, and they all were freezing and jumping or doing a move and having to make, and then they had to be in windows in a way, like you know how you have to stage your
Hmm.
dancers like when you're like in rows and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
to make sure
stage
you
all of
see
them,
everybody.
and then you have to make, yeah, and then that was probably my most challenging shot
Okay.
because it was a lot of people and it was the first time I did it. And
Okay.
I learned from that because like now I'm like, all right, now I know like a setting that works for me. I know a timing that works for me and how to count down. And I know now also that it's going to be easier the smaller the group is.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The bigger the number, the more difficult. Cool.
Yep.
Do you have a dream collab, dancer or brand?
Um, my dream brand to work with is probably gonna be Nike. I think.
Okay.
I think just like having, I think that's probably like the most iconic in terms of like all the sporting brands, and like to do a breaking shoot or a dance shoot for like Nike. That's already that's like that's that good stuff right there. In terms of a
Cool.
dancer, I think I already had my dream. My dream collab was Luigi, and I fulfilled that last year at Unbreakable. Did a whole like thing with him, and like that was like because like I think the first breaker that I ever really had like any memory of like watching when I was growing up was Luigi, and because he was in Step Up to It, that was the first dance movie I ever watched, and I was and yeah, that was the one. Um, there's a few dancers out there. Like I want to work with Stripes, and I want to work with like I want to re up stuff with logistics. I'm gonna do stuff with Kevo and do a more detailed shoot with Ken Swift. That's something in the docket. But you know, um, I've shot with so many people that like it's hard to think
Mhm.
of like any other like some OGs before they, um, you know, like Storm would be great, Po One would be great.
Cool. Dope, man. Now we're at the end. So, as the last question, I would like to ask you, what advice would you give to someone that wants to start taking photos and create content for the dance community?
Um, Number one, dancers are human, and you should be able to. And the quicker you are able to treat a dancer like they are an equal to you instead of like putting them on like a super high pedestal, the easier it is going to be for them to work with you. I think like one thing that people struggle with is the idea that dancers are that like yeah sure maybe some dancers have like a lot more followers on social media than you do or that other people do, but like we are all dancers, and we I think it goes without saying that we all deserve to be treated like like equals in a way, we all, and we all like get starstruck from time to time, and I think the one thing that helped me, I think, is that like other people like knew that I was one of them, and that's how it became easy for me to at least connect with other people. So that's like the one thing, like make sure like just treat people like with the respect that you want them to give you, right? um in terms of creating content for the dance community, just do it. There's nothing stopping you from creating content. There's nothing stopping you from going out there and asking people to shoot with you. You just got to do it. For me, like I was a nobody in 2016, 2017 in my eyes, and I just asked people that were there at like a Silverback Open at like a Red Bull BC1 and be like, "Yo, like I have a camera. I want to take some pictures of you. Is that okay?" And then I was so surprised when people started saying yes to me. Like when I first started taking pictures, I took like pictures of like Menno and Kid Columbia when I was in 2017. They didn't know who the hell I was, and they still did it with, and they still took pictures with me. So like if I could, if that's something that I can do, like at least be like, and also be reasonable with your asks too. Um, and then just have like quite kind of like a vision board, kind of have like an idea of what you want to do with the content that you want to create, whether it's like imagery, whether it's educational content. Just have a plan and be willing to execute it, because the only person that's really able to stop you is you.
For sure.
Honestly, it's been awesome shooting with everybody. And I've been really enjoying, like, taking a step back as I did this year, and like observing the community in a different way. And now I'm ready to like come back and like do more and shoot more. I am currently working on the second edition of Break Parables. um Last year I released Break Parables Volume 1, and this year I'm hoping to, before the end of the year, God willing, that I get this second edition out and ready for coffee tables on the holidays. So be on the lookout for that, and any and more print projects from myself.
Dope. Where should we get the info about your next Breaking Parables?
So I will be posting everything about any additional projects that I'm doing on my socials, on Instagram specifically. That's the best way to reach out to me. That will be at Jerm Gonzalo. And if you ever want to like nominate somebody to be interviewed, or have some, or be like, "Yo, I think I'd be a great person to talk with." For Break Parables, feel free to reach out. I'm always down for ideas and to make things come alive.
Awesome. You got it from the man himself. B-Boy Germ, Retro Flow, B-Boy Network, photographer, breaker, here for the community. Thank you so much for doing this, bro.